The wrestling world is buzzing after Saturday night's main event, and what went down has everyone talking. If you thought the drama would end when the bell rang, think again, because the real chaos started the moment CM Punk walked away with that championship belt. The aftermath of this match has created ripples that are spreading through the entire WWE landscape, and fans cannot stop discussing what they witnessed. Before we dive into this mess, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you won't want to miss what's coming next in this wild story. The fallout from Saturday night's main event has exposed something WWE probably didn't want anyone to see. Jey Uso is drowning in a sea of negativity, and it's getting worse by the day. The crowd made their feelings crystal clear when they started chanting things that no wrestler ever wants to hear during what should have been their big moment against CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. This wasn't just a few scattered voices either. This was a chorus of disapproval that echoed throughout the entire arena and reverberated through social media within minutes of it happening. The intensity of the negative reaction caught many people off guard, because even though Jey has been facing some pushback, nobody expected it to be this loud and this unified. Jey still has people in his corner who love the energy he brings, and those yeet entrances still get a reaction. But there's another group that's gotten louder and more aggressive with each passing week. They're not just booing anymore. They're actively going out of their way to make sure Jey knows exactly how they feel about him being in the main event picture. The divide in the audience has become impossible to ignore, and it's creating an uncomfortable atmosphere every time Jey appears on screen. One fan took it to another level during the title match by shouting something that clearly got under Jey's skin. Someone caught it on video, and you could see Jey's reaction plain as day. He muttered something under his breath that didn't need a microphone to understand. The look on his face said everything about how fed up he's becoming with the constant criticism. That moment of frustration breaking through the professional facade was telling, because Jey has always been skilled at maintaining his composure, even in difficult situations. WWE has to be asking themselves some serious questions right now. They've invested heavily in Jey Uso as a singles competitor, but the return on that investment isn't what they hoped it would be. The company took a big swing when they had him win the Royal Rumble earlier this year. Fans were shocked. Social media exploded with confusion and disbelief. Wrestling forums lit up with debates about whether this was the right call. Then they doubled down by having him beat Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, and people couldn't believe what they were watching. The way that match ended made it even worse, because Gunther submitted to Jey Uso. Gunther doesn't submit to anyone. That's not what he does. That's not who his character is supposed to be. But WWE made that call anyway, and the backlash was immediate and ferocious. The company deserves some credit for trying something different and attempting to build Jey into a top singles star. Taking risks is necessary in wrestling, and not every experiment can be a guaranteed success. The problem is they didn't adjust when it became obvious that a significant portion of the audience wasn't buying what they were selling. After Jey lost the championship back to Gunther, WWE should have pivoted. They should have read the room and recognized that continuing down this path would only make things worse. Instead, they kept pushing him into high-profile matches and important spots. Every time Jey showed up in the main event scene, the negative reaction grew stronger and more vocal. The damage wasn't just being done to Jey's character. It was damaging the shows themselves, because fans felt like their voices weren't being heard and their opinions didn't matter. Something shifted after Saturday night's main event, though. Jey didn't just lose the match and move on like usual. He sat outside the ring near the security barrier with this look on his face that told a different story. His body language screamed frustration and disappointment in a way that felt raw and genuine. Nobody enjoys losing, but this seemed like something more than disappointment. This looked like genuine frustration boiling over and threatening to spill out in ways that WWE might not be able to control. Then Jey took to Instagram and posted a photo of himself staring at CM Punk while the champion celebrated his victory. The caption was simple but loaded with meaning. He wrote just 2 words and added a middle finger emoji. That's not the kind of message a babyface sends to the fans or to his opponent. That's the kind of message someone sends when they've had enough and they're ready to burn bridges WWE might be setting. Up a heel turn for Jey Uso, and honestly, it could be exactly what his career needs right now. All the signs are pointing in that direction. The sulking after the loss, the social media post, the growing tension with the audience. These aren't random moments. This feels deliberate and calculated. The question is whether WWE will actually pull the trigger or if they'll keep trying to force Jey as someone the fans should cheer for. History shows that when WWE stubbornly refuses to listen to the audience, things usually don't end well for anyone involved. The company has a track record of pushing certain wrestlers despite fan resistance, and it rarely works out the way they hope it will. A heel turn opens up so many possibilities for Jey that didn't exist before. He could finally address all the criticism head-on instead of pretending like everything is fine. He could cut promos about how the fans turned their backs on him after everything he's done for them. He could talk about how he carried the Bloodline storyline for years, and this is how they repay him. He could channel all that real-life frustration into his character work and create something compelling that people actually want to watch. The matchups that become available with a heel Jey Uso are genuinely interesting, too. There's unfinished business with his brother Jimmy Uso that never really got the proper attention it deserved. That feud started and then just kind of fizzled out without any real resolution. The emotional weight of brother versus brother was there, but WWE never fully capitalized on it. Bringing that back with Jey as a full-blown heel could give both brothers something meaningful to sink their teeth into. Jimmy could be the one trying to bring his brother back from the dark side while Jey fully embraces his anger and resentment. The promos would write themselves because these two have real chemistry and history together. They know how to work off each other in ways that feel authentic and earned. Then there's LA Knight, who seems to have captured the hearts of the same fans who turned on Jey. Having Jey go after Knight out of jealousy and rage writes itself. The promos alone would be worth the price of admission. Knight has that natural charisma that connects with people instantly, and Jey could play off that as the bitter former champion who feels like he got robbed of his moment. The heat from those confrontations would be nuclear. Imagine Jey cutting a promo about how the fans chose Knight over him despite everything Jey accomplished. Imagine Jey saying that Knight is nothing but catchphrases and cheap pops while Jey put in the real work. The dynamic would be electric because both men are talented on the microphone and in the ring. Knight thrives as the confident fan favorite, while Jey could thrive as the jealous antagonist who can't stand watching someone else get the spotlight he believes he deserves. This is the kind of storytelling that makes wrestling compelling when it's done, right? Some people in the wrestling community think Jey should just go back to being a tag team wrestler with Jimmy and forget this whole singles run ever happened. That's a short-sighted view that ignores nearly 2 years of character development and storyline investment. WWE put serious time and resources into building Jey as someone who could stand on his own. They separated him from the Bloodline. They gave him his own identity separate from Roman Reigns and the Usos tag team. They positioned him to be the sympathetic underdog who finally broke free from his family's shadow. Throwing all of that away to reform a tag team just because things got rocky would be admitting defeat. It would also send a message to every other tag team wrestler that if you try to break out as a single star and it doesn't work immediately, you're getting sent right back to where you started. Jey might not be in the World Championship picture right now, but that doesn't mean his solo career has to end. A heel turn gives him a chance to reinvent himself and find a character that resonates better with the audience. Not every experiment works perfectly the first time. Sometimes you have to adjust and try a different approach. WWE proved with other superstars that a change in direction can completely revitalize someone's career. Look at what happened with other wrestlers who were struggling to connect until they switched alignment and suddenly everything clicked. They just need to be willing to make that change before it's too late and whatever goodwill Jey has left completely evaporates. The window for making this work is closing, and WWE needs to act decisively. The real question everyone keeps asking is whether Jey's frustration is legitimate or if he's working everyone. Wrestlers are performers, and the best ones blur the line between reality and fiction so well that you can't tell what's real anymore. Jey could genuinely be upset about his position and the fan reaction. He went from being one of the most popular wrestlers on the entire roster to hearing boos and insults every time he shows up. That's a hard pill to swallow for anyone. The psychological toll of going from beloved to rejected must be immense. On the other hand, Jey is a skilled performer who knows how to manipulate crowd emotions. Using real-life sentiment to fuel a character change is Wrestling 101. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Jey is likely taking real emotions and amplifying them for the cameras in a way that serves the story. CM Punk might not be thrilled with Jey either based on what happened during their match. There was a spot where Punk went for a neck breaker on Jey and something went wrong. The move didn't connect the way it was supposed to, and instead of just moving on, Punk kicked Jey in the head before hitting the neckbreaker again. People who watched it closely caught the whole thing, and the debate started immediately. Was this Punk legitimately angry at Jey for messing up, or was the kick just a clever way to cover the mistake and give them a reason to do the move again? The footage shows Punk's face in the moment, and there's definitely something there that suggests he wasn't happy. The wrestling community is split on this one. Some people think Punk absolutely lost his cool for a second and took out his frustration with a stiff kick. Punk has a reputation for not tolerating sloppiness in the ring. He's a perfectionist who expects everyone to be on the same page and execute everything precisely. His reputation precedes him when it comes to demanding excellence from himself and his opponents. If Jey botched the neckbreaker setup, it's not hard to imagine Punk getting annoyed and sending a message with that kick. The second attempt at the neckbreaker went much smoother, which could support the theory that Punk was making sure Jey got it right the second time. Punk has been known to call audibles in the ring when things aren't going according to plan, and he's not afraid to be physical when making his point. Other people argue that the whole thing was planned and everyone is reading too much into it. They point out that covering botches with additional offense is a standard practice in wrestling. The kick gave them a logical reason to reset and try the neckbreaker again without making it obvious that something went wrong. According to this view, Punk was just being a professional and making the best of an awkward situation. The kick looked good. It made sense in the context of the match, and it allowed them to continue without the audience dwelling on the mistake. Veterans like Punk know how to improvise and make it look intentional even when things go sideways. The truth is, we'll probably never know for sure what happened in that moment unless Punk or Jey decides to address it directly. Wrestlers rarely pull back the curtain on these kinds of things because maintaining the illusion is part of the job. The mystique and the uncertainty are what keep fans engaged and debating. What we do know is that the match had people talking for reasons beyond just who won and who lost. When a championship match generates this much discussion about everything surrounding it, something interesting is happening, whether it's intentional or not. The layers of drama unfolding both in and out of the ring are creating a complex narrative that fans can't stop dissecting. Jey Uso sits at a crossroads in his career right now. The path WWE chooses for him over the next few weeks and months will determine whether he can salvage his singles run or if this whole experiment will be remembered as a misstep. The fans have spoken loudly about their feelings. The chants during the match made that abundantly clear. The social media reaction has been overwhelming. The question is whether WWE will listen and adapt or keep pushing forward with a plan that clearly isn't working the way they hoped. Jey has the talent to succeed as a singles star. Nobody doubts that. His matches are consistently good, and he's proven he can hang with top-level competition. But talent alone isn't enough if the presentation and the character work don't connect with the audience. A heel turn feels inevitable at this point. All the pieces are in place. The audience reaction gives them the perfect excuse to make the change. Jey's recent behavior and social media activity suggest he's ready to embrace a darker, more aggressive version of himself. The matchups and storylines that would come from heel Jey are more compelling than anything he's doing right now as someone the fans are supposed to cheer for. WWE just needs to commit to the decision and give Jey the freedom to fully explore what that character could be. He needs to be unleashed in a way that he hasn't been allowed to be during this babyface run. Saturday night's main event might be remembered as the turning point for Jey Uso, not because of the match itself, but because of everything that surrounded it. The fan reactions, the social media post, the possible tension with CM Punk, the visible frustration on Jey's face. These moments add up to something bigger than just another loss in another match. They add up to a character transformation that could define the next chapter of Jey's career. Wrestling fans love a good redemption story, but they also love watching someone embrace their dark side and run with it. The journey from hero to villain is one of the most compelling narratives in wrestling when executed properly. The business side of this situation is fascinating too. JEY has invested significant television time and promotional resources into Jey's singles push. They've featured him prominently on multiple premium live events. They've given him high-profile matches against top stars. The return on that investment hasn't materialized in the way they anticipated. At some point, the company has to decide whether to cut their losses or double down with a different approach. The heel turn represents that different approach. It's a way to salvage the investment by transforming the character into something the audience actually wants to engage with, even if that engagement comes in the form of heat rather than cheers. The psychological aspect of performing in front of a hostile crowd cannot be understated. Every wrestler deals with negative reactions at some point, but sustained rejection from the fans you're supposed to be fighting for is uniquely challenging. Jay has to go out there night after night knowing that a significant portion of the audience doesn't want to see him in the position he's in. That takes a mental toll that most people can't comprehend. The strength required to continue performing at a high level while dealing with that kind of negativity is immense. Whether Jay channels that into genuine frustration or uses it as fuel for a character change, the emotional reality of the situation is undeniable. Looking at the bigger picture, this situation reflects larger issues WWE faces with audience engagement and listening to fan feedback. The company has made strides in recent years toward being more responsive to what fans want. They've course-corrected on pushes that weren't working. They've elevated wrestlers who connected organically with the audience, even if it wasn't part of the original plan. But the Jey Uso situation shows there are still instances where WWE digs in and tries to make something work, even when the evidence suggests a different direction might be necessary. The stubbornness can sometimes pay off, but it can also lead to situations exactly like this where everyone ends up frustrated. If you enjoyed this breakdown of everything happening with Jey Uso and want to stay updated on all the latest wrestling drama, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Things are just getting started and you won't want to miss what happens next.